So I've been living in Reno for about 31 years, which may or may not be my entire life. And watching it change over this time has been really interesting. And I thought that Reno would be a great topic of discussion to have with a few key players, especially in the real estate industry, because it's a really exciting time for growth here. But in our industry, it seems like it's a really pivotal time as well. And we're getting all these questions from our clients, and when we sit down or we go to events within the industry, everyone's talking about what's going to happen in Reno, where it's been, where's it going. And I thought it would be really nice to have you guys around, some of the more seasoned players, and Megan and I, who've been doing this 6 years, 8 years, and what we've seen and where we think it's going to go. Because granted, I bet we all have different opinions. So real quick, why don't we all just introduce ourselves so that we all know who we're talking to? Do you want to start?
Richard Lace, I'm a certified residential appraiser. Started my company in '97 and have been appraising residential properties all through northern Nevada for 22 years now.
Awesome.
JP Minetti with Dixon Realty. I'm a realtor, fifth generation Nevadan. Happy to be born and raised here, watch this town keep growing and growing. But I've been selling real estate for 18 years here.
My name is Brian Geib. I own a company called BRG Homes, and I'm a general contractor. I've been a general contractor for myself for about 8 years, but I've been in construction in this town since I was 18 years old. So I don't know how long that is. I'll leave that up to you. But a long time, and I've born and raised here. I'm a fourth generation, not quite fifth, but fourth generation Nevadans, and obviously I've been in this town and I've seen it change, a lot myself. So it'll be an interesting conversation to have here.
I'm Shivani Peterson with All Western Mortgage. I'm a Reno native, and we're first generation?
Yes.
Yes. I'm Neil Dingra. I'm the branch manager at All Western Mortgage. I've been in the industry since 2002, so just about 16 years now, and have been doing mortgages all that time and kind of seeing all the different cycles. So it'll be a great conversation today.
I'm Megan Lowe. I'm with Chase International Real Estate, and I got my license in 2010. When I first got licensed, people are, but why? It's the bottom of the market. It did go a little bit lower in 2011, but then I joked it can only go up from there. So I've seen it. I, of course, didn't see the top last time, but I have seen the bottom and kind of watched it grow. I was born and raised up in Zephyr Cove, up at the lake. Moved to Reno to go to UNR. Never thought in a million years I'd stay here. Stayed here, started my career, and I love Reno and I love the growth that's been going on, and just still being close to the mountains is great.
Cool, guys. So for you guys who've been in the industry longer, when you look back when the boom was happening, were you nervous during it? Did you feel like, I don't know where this is going, or was it just like, this is too exciting, let's roll with it?
From my standpoint, it felt almost like a Ponzi scheme because it was like, the properties would go up so quick. I remember, people getting into contract on new builds, and then by the time the property was completed, flipping the house without even setting foot in the house, and for a six-figure profit, just in 8 months. Or it was just insane. So it definitely felt unsustainable, but at the same time, nobody knew when it would end, and it just, people were calling for tops all along the way, and then it would last 2, 3, 4 more years. So we did see the warning signs, but after a while you start to ignore them almost a little bit, just because it just keeps going and going. And then I think this happens in all kind of asset classes. They will fall further than you think is possible, and they'll go higher and last longer than you think is possible. So we kind of saw both. I think we saw that after the crash as well. Like it fell and then it kept going lower. People are like, okay, here's the bottom, I'm going to buy now. And then it went another leg down.
Yeah, it just didn't seem sustainable, because when I moved here in the mid-'90s, there weren't many houses over $500,000 in value.
Yeah.
And even the median income for Reno wasn't that high. So coming from the Pacific Northwest down to here, it was more affordable. But once the market started taking off, it did seem like everybody just jumped on board.
Yep.
And every house that sold was $5,000 or $10,000 more than the next, and a lot of weight was put on pending sales, and it just was going up and up and up with nothing really to support it. It was kind of crazy. I mean, you watched
that market happen, And it was somewhat unsustainable, but we were in a nirvana where money was just hitting us upside the heads and everybody was happy. The only people that weren't happy were the guy that maybe sold too early.
Yeah.
Because he'd watch his neighbor sell for $25,000 more a week and a half later. And then that neighbor might watch his neighbor sell for $25,000 more a week and a half later. And it was great, but the buy was also in that same type of place where, okay, they were making it on the buy, they didn't make it so much on the sell. But when is enough enough? I mean, that's where we get into that crazy spot of Reno. Reno, from the time I was born till the time about 2000, we grew at 3% a year, very, very healthy, very sustainable. We always knew where we were. And then we just spiked, and then we fell. And both of those, it was always just put your finger up in the air and guess a price. Mm-hmm. At the bottom of the market and the top of the market. The difference at the bottom of the market was, I don't know, pick a price and we're going to see if that works. And if it doesn't, we're going to have to drop it again. And we're going to have to drop it again. At the top, it's a little bit different because we try and stretch the market. We as realtors try and stretch the market as the builder wants us to stretch the market. The appraiser is the one that doesn't want us to stretch the market. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's trying to say, where's the market? And that's kind of what we're seeing right now in what I want to call more of a softening of the market. Mm-hmm. We spiked again so high, so fast, that it needs to level out and feel, so he has an easier job and we have an easier job actually saying, here's the value of that property.
We were so undervalued for so long. I mean, as a builder, you couldn't build a house for what you could buy it for. Mm-hmm. It was so much more expensive to build.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm sitting here and it's replaying all these memories in my head. and a lot of those memories we're replaying today. Probably even worse, and we'll get into that. I think that's where we're going with this conversation. But back then, I remember I was just building houses right over here for the biggest home builder in Nevada at the time. And I was running a project just right, and I could throw a rock over there from where we're at right now. And I remember every release going up $40,000 or $50,000. I mean, from this guy to this guy, $40,000-$50,000 overnight. I mean, so by the time that they made it to the end of the street, they had this person had $100,000 in equity, and it was not a challenge. I mean, there was people lined up, there was lists, a mile long. And I always wondered. I'm like, I know that we have this migration from California going on, and I always wondered, like, where do all these people come from all of a sudden? I don't know where. You know what I mean? And I just remember buying my first house. I paid $120,000 for it, believe it or not. And that was a stretch for me. And I only made like $14, $15 an hour back then. And I was thinking, how are these people? Where are these jobs? And where is this for $400,000 or $500,000 house all of a sudden? Like within like 6 or 7 years.
Well, you heard stories of other people from California selling one house, coming over here buying 2 or 3 as investments, and then. Other people qualifying, no qualification loans. Yep. Let me go get 3 rental homes. I mean, if you've seen The Big Short, it kind of shows the whole way the market happened.
Well, and that
was kind of crazy.
One of my questions I wanted to ask you when you were talking about like how you felt the hype, but then, a lot of discussion in our market right now is that the lending industry is not giving away loans anymore.
Yeah, at that time it was completely different.
I personally still feel there's more cash in the market, 20% down, 15% down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're seeing a lot more of that. The job growth, those kind of things. Yeah. But from your side, is the same?
Yeah,
what's the difference?
It's like night and day. I mean, back then there was just with every month that went by, the guidelines got looser. So what would happen was they were all competing. It was a race to the bottom as far as what you need to get a loan. So one guy would come out with to differentiate himself. An investor would say, okay, we offer this product where you don't need income anymore. You just need assets, and we just need you to verify that you have a good job. Then the next guy would come out and say, we'll do it, but without the verification even. Like, you don't even have to put anything. Wow. The next guy would come out and say, well, that assets, instead of having 2 or 3 months worth of assets, let's just go to 1. And then it went to nothing, So everybody just got looser and looser, and then finally it flipped the other way, and then they stopped doing it. But it was just crazy. Now it's complete, it's been completely the opposite.
Now explains why borrowers get so frustrated when they have to go get a loan and they get asked where that $100 went.
Oh, yeah.
Now they get why. Because of what happened
as soon as it crashed and they rewrote all the guidelines, and they went too far, and now they're coming back to the middle. So I think we're in a better spot now. It's sustainable. So it went way easy and then way difficult, and now they've started to loosen up. Okay, now you don't need that $100 source. We only ask you if it's over a certain dollar amount. So they've made it a little more logical.
So this market to me feels the same but very, very different. It's not the same buyers. They're not the same. It's not. We were getting people, back in 2004 to 5 that they would never even move into their house. We'd build it and they'd never move into it. It would sit there empty for 6 or 7 months and then they would sell it and make $100,000 on it. And they were doing that. And then we'd see them at the next subdivision.
Yeah.
They show up at the next one. And they buy a house over there. And then by the end of it, I'm assuming that they were paying cash or whatever they're doing. I don't see that. I don't see the investor
There's no
thing going on.
speculation.
There is no speculation in this market. The people that move into these houses nowadays seem to be staying there, and which I think is healthy. From my perspective, but it feels completely different.
Yeah, I mean,
we talk about this, but
I was one of the lead sales agents up at Arrow Creek from my start all the way to the complete fall of the market. And I remember in the height of the market, people looking and buying a $450,000 lot, and you'd say, hey, do you guys realize that's a $2 million home? I don't care, I can get the loan, get me the lot. And you're looking at these people going, I know you, not that you're profiling, but I know I couldn't in any way say that you guys could build in a $2 million home.
Yeah.
That's what that equates to. 1/5 of the lot is 1/5 of the entire cost, just as a rule of thumb. And so that you're looking, you're going, wait, stop. I don't care, just buy it. So the banks were so free on giving money to people that just 10% down, buy the lot, everybody could qualify, life was good. It's nice to see some structure in it and actually people having to put more skin in the game, because that's that. If you're walking away from your 10 or 20% down, that means something to you.
You're gonna fight a little harder.
Yeah, even though the value comes, even though the value's chopped.
Even if you didn't do a down payment, like now we have like low down payment conventional loans, and people say that that's scaring them, right? That people are getting into a conventional loan with 3% down. But it's not just the skin in the game. We're putting them through the ringer to get that loan. So it's not only just that they have skin in the game, it's that we've decided these are not the kind of people who would walk away.
Well, they're also probably a little afraid of what they had to go through the last time, because it wasn't just the one person who had the 5 or 6 houses that got affected. It was everybody. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those people, had to rebuild their credit, had to rebuild their entire savings, had to rebuild their entire lives because of the way that the financial institutions treated these loans. So fortunately, in our market now, it's harder to qualify. It's harder for me as an appraiser because all of my data is now monitored by Fannie Mae. So if they think that I'm trying to make something up, I get a letter. I get, everything now is monitored. Like Neil was saying, it's very difficult to do what happened before. Not that there was a lot of fraud. There was more fraud, I'm sure, back then than there is now. But it's just a stronger market.
And it seems like the intentions are better all around, from the banks, from the buyers, and from the players in the industry.
Well, home ownership is always a positive. I mean, I think one of your questions is, when do you want to buy? It's whenever you can. You get the tax write-off, you get the establish a home, establish a life, and move from there. But it's just scary when, everybody asks, and I'm sure you get this too, is it going to happen again? Because it just threw everybody. So it went so far down. Nobody saw. I think Nevada was the second hardest state hit in the fall, right behind Florida.
And I think at that time, our economy, like if you look at the states and the markets that had the most upswing during those times and the hardest fall, it was ones where the economy wasn't strong enough to sustain that level of activity. We didn't have the job growth, we didn't have the industry here like we do now. So I just see night and day difference, because when we meet with people now, I mean, there's dual income households working for Fortune 500 companies that have just moved here. They have money down, they have reserves, they have retirement assets to fall back on. It's just a much stronger picture. So from the aspect of people walking away from their obligations or any of that stuff, I mean, it doesn't seem like that would be the cause of the next downturn. So that it would have to be an external event, like They're at the stock market collapsing or something else happening in the economy, and then it filters over to real estate and the job growth.
Reno feels different, I think, as a whole. I mean, they've done an amazing job bringing new industry in.
Yeah.
My whole life growing up, we were boom or bust town. I mean, if gaming wasn't doing well, construction wasn't doing well, we were bust. If it was doing really well, we were boom.
Mm-hmm.
Now we actually do have real jobs here.
Mhm.
The bigger question to me is, are the jobs that are coming here able to afford the real estate that we have? And that's
think
the question.
That's what's scaring people so much, and why some people are like so anti-growth. Like I talk to so many people around Reno that are like, I don't want all these Californians moving in, or the traffic sucks. But on the other side of it, growing up here, the amount of culture that filtered in, specifically like in the last 8 years, has been awesome. I mean, the restaurants, the bars, the people that are coming here, I think are nothing but great for Reno. But the sad thing is that it was a really small window from when we were cool but also affordable to getting to the other side of it and losing some of that affordability. And I feel like that's a lot of what scares people in Reno. But outside of the real estate market, there's a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you brought up a great point about just like when you guys all talk about the height of the market previously, you can really feel it. And I was in high school, not even had a clue what was going on besides, the drama of high school. But it's interesting hearing that perspective again and then seeing where we are on the construction side again. Because right now, I've had clients that were like, can you let me know when the builders are starting to get lots of inventory, because then that might be the sign that we're at the top. But as we all know that the construction, the demand is there. Our subs are, it's hard to find subs. The demand, no one's getting into constructions. People are retiring. You guys have that need for it. So that's also slowed it down. So you're not seeing on the same street one house sell for $400 and 6 months later one sell for $500. Like you guys are saying, because we don't see that right now. Yes, we're seeing an increase, but it's not on the same street.
I think. Well, the construction industry has its own set of challenges that is not helping with the cost of real estate, because the construction industry has not done a good job about promoting itself as an alternative to going to college. And a lot of these people I think we're so pro trying to send everybody to college. That's like the first thing you want to do. That there's a whole other group of jobs out there that pay just as much, if not more, than a college educated person. I saw a comparison one time that they followed a plumber, a journeyman plumber, and a doctor. I don't remember what it was, something, and they followed them through their career from when they started, and they showed their gross income on a graph, and it was very interesting to see the graph. The plumber's graph, started going like this. The doctor went down, because they took on all the debt, and then it's funny, the doctor never caught the plumber.
That's so interesting.
Before they retired in total gross income,
and
so we don't do a good job of that, and so we're leading these kids out of the construction industry, not into it. I think building is probably going to change. That's the way that we build things is going to change, in my opinion. Because we're going to have less skilled workers, so we're going to probably have to start building things more, off-site in factories, prefab stuff. I really think that is probably going to be the next, wave, because we got to bring, the cost of things down. So if you want to do that, you got to rely more on automation, or you got to rely more on, building things outside, and people are going to have to get used to that, because it's not going to be the same kind of house. You're not going to be able to build a very complicated house in a factory and deliver it and, have it built in, 4 or 5 days or whatever, but the cost of it might be lower. So, there's going to be some interesting things, I believe, that are going to happen when it comes to that. I don't think we're getting the construction people back. I don't, I talk to everybody, they left and they're coming back. Well, not only did they leave, and a lot of them did leave and they didn't come back. A lot of them changed careers and they like it better working at Tesla, or, working out in the factory, or, working, behind a desk doing mortgages or whatever they like to do. I know tons of people that are like that. That was a portion of their life, and they left, and they're not going to come back into it. And then now we don't have the kids taking over The the older people that were in the trade that are retiring, that are filtering out, we're not getting the replacement. So I don't think that we're going to get those construction people back. I think we're at a level that we're probably maxed out at, and I don't think we're going to get the labor back down. I mean, even today, just a week ago, I was talking to my framing contractor, and he still has people out stealing people from his jobs. Hey, I'll give you $1 more. Come over to mine, and then they go. And and I would say that we're probably in a plateau right now. I mean, we're in a phase in construction which it is somewhat flat. I mean, when it comes to selling houses and stuff like that, they're still selling houses and they're still doing good. The national builders are not stopping. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're not going to stop. So they're just going to keep building and building and building. So, and then what you're going to have is you're going to see incentives come out of that stuff. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, but I don't see the cost of labor coming down any time in the near future, unless, like you were saying, we have some outside issue with the war or whatever. Interest rates go through the roof, which they're just not going to allow happen. And then